Order up! Next 2v2 game. This is Memory. It's a memory game.
Uh-oh.
You have this circle sort of buffet of food items, and you have to memorize where they are, and after a little bit, Toad will, after a little bit, boxes will come down to cover up the food items, and then they'll spin around, and then Toad will put up an order, and the first team to grab both of the items that Toad ordered gets 1 point, and the first team to 3 points wins. So you see here, boxes fall down, and it spins a bit, and you can move left and right around, and you push A to open a box, and you try to get the items that Toad showed there. And then a new set will come up, and they'll get covered after a few seconds. You spin around again, and that's the game.
This is weird.
Yeah! See, items
Especially
that has...
hamburger and ice cream?
Yeah, there's burgers, fries, corn dogs, soup, and ice cream. This is a weird fast food place that does this. But, yeah, so first team to get the 3 points wins. Pretty simple. A little annoying. Dungeon Duos. This one is very weird.
Uh-oh.
It's like they wanted to do a platforming challenge. And also like they wanted to do that one dungeon from Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, where you have it's split in two and you've got Link and Cafe that you're kind of switching control between. The controls are very complicated and there's a lot of controls there, and we'll talk about the controls as we get to each thing.
I noticed that you described two things that Nintendo did.
Yep. And they wanted to do that here. So you start out, you're in two different lines. One player has to reach a lever and tap B as fast as they can to move this lever, which will drop the wall that the other player can then pass through so that they can reach the next lever so that you can pass through. And you go back and forth for that 4 levers, 4 walls, until you reach the next stage, which is the spinning platforms. One player gets up to the console and taps Y, tapping it to spin around the platforms. Then the other player gets onto the other side and taps Y to spin it from that end. And then they've got this one where it's the same thing, but one of the platforms is broken. And you're tapping X instead of Y. If you're both at the console tapping the button at the same time, then it'll go twice as fast.
Okay.
Then you have these pipes. And one of the pipes will lead you to the next section, and the others will lead you to a different pipe. And you need to jump in the pipes and figure out which one goes to the next section. And try to coordinate with your teammate to make sure that you're not both going in the same pipes repeatedly. There are 2 sections of that, and then you're inflating a balloon.
What?
And you need to do L and R back and forth to pump your balloon.
Okay.
And once you've inflated your balloon, you're done. And the first person to, the first team to inflate their balloon gets out first, and they win.
And it's timed.
It's got a high score. Time. So, this game's friggin' weird. And yeah, if you fall off, if you jump in the hole or fall in the hole at these platforms, Lakitu will have to fish you out, and you'll lose a lot of time doing that. Cheep sweep.
Okay.
So, this one is, goldfish scooping? It's a thing that they do in Japan that not really, it's not so much a thing outside of Japan. You're in, like, this little koi pond thing, and you're trying to catch Cheeps. You push, you move around with the stick, you push A to swing your net, and, you have to bring it over to your score area and hit B to let them go in your score area. If you move too quickly, it'll scare off the fish. So you need to use, tilt the stick lightly to walk slowly to get up to them. I found this one ridiculously hard until I realized something the game does not tell you. You want to hold down A to hold your net out, and then turn to put the net where the fish are and grab them. If you just tap A and swing the net, you're not grabbing anything.
Uh-huh.
So, the yellow fish are worth 2 points, the red fish are worth 1. There are always exactly 25 points worth of fish in the pond, so once you reach 13, your team is guaranteed to have more points than the other, and you can stop. Once the pond empties, then it'll, when all the fish are caught, then the game ends, or it'll end when the time runs out. Your net can hold 3 fish at a time, at which point you need to go and empty it out at your little fish cage there. So, again, because of that fact, the thing that the game didn't tell me, I hated this game up until I figured that out. Moving on to battle games. These are the games that you get when you land on a battle space. And as a reminder as we go through this, when you land on a battle space, the person who lands there gets a choice of 2 games. So they get to pick 2 of among the 6 games, which one to play. Trace Race. You are trying to match the line along this racetrack with your crayon. Whoever gets it most accurately wins. We've seen something like this before. There was in Mario Party 1, there was the one where you're trying to trace around the cutout in the ground.
Right, the chisel.
Yeah, so you use the control stick to move, and you're trying to match the line as closely as possible. Everybody has the same line, but the line does vary between different times you play the game. It has a couple of, like...
Donkey Kong, what are you doing?
Donkey Kong is set to easy difficulty, so... yeah, at the end, once everyone's reached the end, then it does a score tally for how closely everybody matched, up to 100. Whoever has the highest score wins. It mentioned if everybody is below 30, then nobody wins, and as you can see
animating!
As you can see here, if you aren't keeping up, the left side of the screen will push you as it auto-scrolls.
Uh-huh.
So that's the race part of it. And yeah, you can see here, anything less than 30 counts as 0. So it's a draw and everyone loses.
A draw?
Chain Chomp Fever! This is a dodging, running platformer type dodge game thing. You are on this field of fire and there's a Chomp and it's dashing at you and charging, and you need to not get hit by the Chomp or the fire. You move with the stick, the Chomp will dash straight ahead, and fire also will happen from the ground. So you can see there are all these cracks in the ground. That's where fire can happen.
Okay.
The Chomp will pick a direction, and then it will dash straight in that direction until it hits the wall, and then it will break the wall, and then it will be stunned for a moment, and then it'll spin, and it always picks a player at random to dash at. So you're just trying to kind of keep around, keep away, not get hemmed in by the fire, and avoid the Chomp. If it hits you, then you get knocked out. Yeah, and because battle games have, like, actual rankings matter, you know, whoever gets knocked out first is 4th place, and then 3rd place and 2nd place. And you can see here, if the Chomp hits a spot where there isn't a wall, it won't get stunned. It'll just stop and immediately turn and charge again. Now, if multiple players are still alive when the timer runs out, they will all tie for 1st place, and they'll split the pot.